Okay, Ms. Edwards, this video discusses a type of cellular transportation called passive transport. This involves the cell membrane, which we already talked about in the last video. It described it as semi-permeable. Remember this guy?
Oh yeah, I remember.
Okay, so the little things can get through, but the big things, not so much. And it's what it does is it regulates what's going in and out of the cell. It regulates it.
So cellular transport is the movement of molecules into cells and out of cells?
Yeah. The concentration of a solution refers to the number of particles in a certain amount of space. So if you look up here, we've got a lot of particles in this space and not as many. So it's a concentration.
Okay, I see it. So low concentration means that particles are spread out, and high concentration means that particles are packed together?
Right, and another example is right here. So if you look at this, you've got the darker blue. It's the same amount of food coloring, but I've got less water, so there's a lot more, it's packed in, and it looks darker. Whereas this side looks a little bit lighter because it's more spread out.
Okay, I can see that. So the dye was diffusing out to the rest of the water?
Yeah, we're going to do an example of that right here. So, if I drop this in, you'll see it's going to clump together at first. Let's get a drop to go. Looks like that's it. So, it's all together at first, but as you kind of watch it, it's going to spread out kind of slowly, and the reason it's doing that, it's called diffusion.
Okay, I got it. So, like if I spray perfume in the corner of a room, it gets to the other side of the room by diffusion?
Yeah. In cells, some molecules can cross the cell membrane by diffusion, which is what this line is kind of representing here. Okay, so some of these particles could come this way because it's going from high to low. High concentration to low concentration. Passive transport is a type of cell transport that doesn't require a cell to use any energy. Diffusion, what we were just talking about, is just one example of passive transport.
Okay, so molecules move down the concentration gradient from an area of high concentration to an area of low concentration?
That's diffusion. Okay, so now can we talk about a second type?
Yeah.
Okay, the second type is called facilitated diffusion. So that's right up here. Okay? So facilitated diffusion is when channel proteins help move molecules across the cell membrane. So channel proteins are inside the membrane. They have little like tunnels or bridges that the molecules could pass through.
So basically facilitated just means to help.
Yeah, you got it. Okay, one more type, the third one is osmosis. Okay, that is kind of like diffusion, except specifically the diffusion of water molecules across the cell membrane.
Okay, so passive transport includes diffusion, facilitated diffusion, and osmosis, and this type of transport requires no energy?
Perfect, that's exactly right. So next we're going to talk about the three types of environments that could affect the cells. So you have hypotonic environments have a low concentration of dissolved solutes compared to the inside of a cell. Water will enter the cell and make it swell. So it's like this one. So the water's going in.
Okay, so hypotonic environments make cells swell.
Yes. Now hypertonic environments have a high concentration of dissolved solutes compared to the inside of the cell. So what happens there is water is going to leave the cell and the cell shrinks.
Alright, so hypertonic solutions make cells shrink.
Exactly right. Okay, isotonic environments have an equal concentration of dissolved solutes compared to the inside of the cell. The cell will remain its normal size and will not swell or shrink. That's like this one. They're going in and out, but it's equal. So that's why there's equal signs.
Okay, so the prefixes I need to remember are hypo is below normal, hyper is above normal, and iso is equal. What do I really need to remember from this video lecture?
Okay, the bottom line is that passive transport does not use energy. Diffusion, remember right here, is when the molecules are spreading out like the perfume. Okay, facilitated diffusion uses the protein channels. Remember, facilitated is help. Uses protein channels to get materials through membranes. And osmosis is diffusion, but specifically with water across the cell membrane. Cells respond differently to different solutions depending on their surroundings.
Here you see simple diffusion, or the spreading of molecules, just like the example in the video of the blue dye in the water. Facilitated diffusion uses protein channels that are embedded in the membrane to help move materials across the membrane. The little black dots represent water. The white dots represent sugar molecules. The water is moving to the left to help spread out the sugar molecules. This is a type of diffusion and it's called osmosis. Notice what happens to cells when placed in different solutions. In the first one, the cell stays the same size. In the second one, the cell shrinks. A lot of the water leaves the cell and goes outside the cell. In the third one, the cell swells, water moves into the cell.